Welcome to Roma Norte in Mexico City, Mexico. This is one of the most beautiful areas of Mexico City. In this guide, I'm going to cover restaurants, things to do, places to shop, and general points of interest if you're coming to Roma Norte. So Roma Norte is lined with fountains and loads of tree-lined walkways. Everywhere you go, there's greenery. So first up is Fuente de Cibeles. This is where you're going to find the cdmx sign. Usually the water's running. It's a very beautiful fountain, but it's 9 o'clock in the morning. They haven't turned on the water yet. What makes this unique is on that side is CONDESA, and on this side is Roma Norte. So for this guide, let's go grab a coffee. Okay, so I went to Google and I looked for the #1 best coffee shop in Mexico City, and I came across Cumbé. I came here yesterday, did a lot of homework for this guide. It's an espresso tonic to start the journey. It's a really good coffee shop. What I'll do is I'll provide a guide or some links of my whole journey through Roma Norte, so you can do the same thing too when you come to Roma Norte. Okay, so after coffee, you're gonna need breakfast. So I did a lot of homework for this one. I found an organic place. It's really tricky to find, so that's why the camera's in front of me. It's actually sitting right there. So it's all organic, highly rated, and it's actually not far from Cumbé, as Cumbé is over there. The best things about Mexico City is its infrastructure. Obviously, it's a 9 million person city in the city center, and then it's 21 or 22 million, making it the largest city in Latin America. Right here is a metro line station. I believe it goes above ground and below ground. I haven't really seen, there's a lot of bike lanes in Roma Norte and a lot of buses, so it's quite easy to get around, but that's why I'm doing this walking tour, to kind of show you, points of interest. You could do this whole thing in about probably like 45, 55 minutes without stopping. So like I said, Roma Norte is a pretty expensive area. So as you can see, the sidewalks are really long. There's a lot of trees, and there's a lot of nice colonial architecture. There's also bike lanes. Love this. Panadería Rosetta. The benefits to doing these guides early is you wake up before the crowds. Now there is a massive lineup. I was able to squeeze in as I'm solo, sat at the bar, and this time of the year, Dia de Muertos, is coming up in a few days. They had a Pan de Muertos, and it's kind of like a big Joey donut. Really tasty, but everybody in there was looking for one. So as we keep carrying on down this road, we come to kind of the center of Roma Norte. This is Plaza Rio de Janeiro. This is where you're going to find the David statue. And I don't think they turn on the water until maybe like 10 or 11 a.m. It's 9 a.m. You can see a lot of people still walking around, but the water's not on. When I came here yesterday, I found out it was kind of like a giant dog park. There's dogs everywhere in here. So you can see like a lot of dogs hanging out there. There's a bunch of dogs hanging out here. When I said this is kind of the center, well, either which way direction you go, you're going to find something. Whether it's carrying on to this tour or more coffee shops, there's literally a coffee shop and restaurant on every single street corner here. There's a ton of consignment stores, and then there are also a lot of like high-end stores. There's also Michelin star restaurants every which way that you go. Now walking down here, we get to an area, I don't know, it's kind of like Restaurant Row. a ton of really nice restaurants. El Tigre is a Michelin star restaurant right along this area as well, further down the street. And then a few other restaurants along the way. So walking along this street is where you're going to find a lot of the really, really nice restaurants. Behind me is obviously Panaderia Rosetta. And as we walk along, there's El Tigre. And there's all sorts of nooks and crannies and a really unique stores down little alleyways. Another big plus side to this area is there's a lot of really unique like little museums. Museo de Moro is right there. Walking throughout Roma Norte is a delight in itself. You find some of the best restaurants that are hidden gems that you had no idea were even there. Some are a little bit out more in the open and others are totally hidden. Just like the one that I'm coming up to right now, which is Mauro. It's rated one of the top restaurants in North America, one of the 50 best bars. All you see is the sign, otherwise I wouldn't even known it was there. Yet another coffee shop. Walking throughout Roma Norte, there's a lot of different boulevards. Walking along, there's yet another gallery right there. This brings me to Jardin Pushkin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It is a giant park with a ton of activities for children and a lot of dogs. I'm playing basketball right there. And just a little bit of a, looks like an amusement park for dogs and a lot of like free fitness. A lot of people working out in this area. So Roma Norte isn't just, you know, restaurants, bars, and everything else. It's also a lot of, you know, recreation for a lot of different people. Next, I Googled the best brunch spot in all of Roma Norte. I came across Cuina. Another great restaurant is a Moro or churreria. Basically take churros and make them really fancy. As we walk to our next destination, how about we cover shopping? So Roma Vintage is a lot of high-end vintage. Yves Saint Laurent, all sorts of different dress shirts, Burberry, everything you're gonna find that's probably 10 years old or older. We just walked through a random market with, looks like vintage and maybe secondhand items, plus a lot of different Mexican street food. certain areas in Roma, there are really, really high-end areas. And then in other areas, you get a lot of locals, just kind of hanging out, doing their thing. But everywhere you walk, everybody's really friendly. A lot of people speak English. It's kind of bizarre. Like, I'm like, where am I? They approach you with English. And I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm really in Mexico anymore, which is kind of sad in a way, because I do enjoy all the Spanish. Almost everybody speaks English, which helps if you're learning like me, like estudio español todos los días, and means I am practicing Spanish every day. And I do practice, and I do try to approach people with Spanish, but just crossing the road here. This is Plaza Luis Cabrera. As you can see, there's just so many areas, nooks and crannies that people can just sit, grab a coffee, and just sit down and hang out, read a book. So many different spots in Roma. And it seems like every one of these little plazas is surrounded with different coffee shops and cafes and restaurants, just like the one we're coming up to. It wasn't initially on my list, but it's absolutely beautiful. That's the thing about walking around Roma Norte, is there's like, you just come across new cafes and bars like on every corner that weren't initially on your list. Now, if you're going out and you're looking for a bar or a restaurant or just somewhere to grab a bite to eat, you can't forget Mercado Roma. Mercado Roma is basically a food court full of every different type of food, every different type of drink. If you're looking for cerveza, a cocktail, whatever you want, you cannot forget about this place.
Okay, so inside it's a little bit confusing. When you first walk in, nobody really greets you. You don't really know what's going on. I ended up coming in, sitting down. Somebody explained it to me. You would go to any of the different restaurants, which are all tightly packed together, and then you would order your food and then go to the communal area where you would eat, but kind of like a food court. And then in the food court, a couple servers from every single restaurant pushing food and alcohol on you. So it's kind of like a free-for-all in the middle. It's quite the experience. The food and drinks were amazing. The mezclita I had was probably one of the best, and I had a brisket burrito, and wow, very well done.
Now, as we walk back to complete the loop, we can't forget about shopping. If you know me, you know that I'm a cyclist. Trek Bikes is definitely one of my favorites. When it comes to vintage shopping, I came across quite a few different spots that are definitely noteworthy. Vintage Ho was awesome. I bought a few things. Roma Vintage, Ere Vintage, E-R-R-E Vintage, focused on men's clothing. On top of that, there's a lot of really high-end shops all around, and just a lot to do in Roma Norte. So if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, check out my other guides, and I'm going to be exploring the rest of Mexico City and creating different content for you guys. So let me know what you liked the most about this guide in the description box below.